hope you have a good meal. I had a great meal here. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here to share today about my life and my liver transplant. The reality is that I shouldn't be here at all. I should be 6 feet underground. And what happened was when I was 11, I had cancer. I had cancer in my liver. And it started back in 1988. My family came from Hong Kong, and my parents decided to emigrate to Canada. And back in Hong Kong, we never had a family doctor. And so in 1990, 2 years afterwards, we decided to go do a family checkup with the doctor. And the doctor did some blood work for all my family members, including myself. And the results came normal, except me. So the doctor decided to send me to Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto for more testing. So what they discovered is that I have a liver tumor. And at that time, they can remove the tumor by cutting part of the liver, so which is a pretty interesting organ. But the problem is that the tumor is very close to one of the arteries. So as an alternative, the doctor suggested to my parents whether maybe it's better to wait for a bit for a liver transplant as a new operation, new way of see if I can heal from this disease. And then that was me. I was on the waiting list. And I was 11 back then, so I was pretty small. I was probably the same size as those kids who were up here before. And I'd be honest, I wasn't scared. I don't think I was old enough to be scared. They told me that I have cancer, so I know it's pretty serious. And I was very normal. I don't have any problems. I have no pain. People with liver problems usually is very yellow because the liver is failing. I have none of that. I was just a kid running around, going to school, riding my bike, very normal person. And I'm sure it surprised and shocked my parents. Probably scared them a lot as well. So what happened is that after 4 to 5 months of waiting, one day my mom got a phone call. And I remember it was during the evening after my mom picked me up from school. And they found a suitable donor for me. And so they sent me, my mom and I went to the hospital for children at night. And so they were already starting prepping me for operation. I remember they wheeled me into the surgery room in around 10 o'clock at night. And before they did that, my parents were there, my dad was there, my mom was there. And the doctor asked my dad if he wants to kiss me. And I don't know about South Asian culture, but in the Chinese culture, parents are not very affectionate to their children. So that was the first time, and I'm pretty sure it's the last time my dad kissed me. Right? Kissed me on the cheek, wheeled me in the operation room, and they gassed me, and I fell asleep. I remember the second I woke up, I was in intensive care unit, ICU. I was very weak and very cold. I feel very cold. I was very sleepy. And from what my mom told me was that there's all these tubes coming out of my mouth, my body, attaching to machines and whatnot. And the operation took 13 hours. In the hospital for sick children, I was known as the miracle kid. The reason is that I have no problem afterwards. Usually people will have transplants. Because the organ is a foreign object, the host body will try to attack it. It's considered as you want to get rid of it. And if your body is very weak, there may be some rejection problems, or it may not be compatible with the body at all. But very fortunate, but I have none of those problems. I was recovered very quickly. I remember staying in a ward with all the kids who have transplant before, with the transplants. I remember that one kid came from South America. He has 1 liver transplant, 2 kidney transplant, and they added a 3rd kidney into him. I remember that very vividly. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. It was too weak. And I also remember there was a little baby, and she has a liver transplant as well, and she didn't make it either. So I was fine, and in hospital, especially sick kids, it was a great hospital. I play a lot of video games. It doesn't feel like a hospital. The nurse and doctors are very caring for me, and my parents come and visit me every day. And so my life slowly became back to normal. 3 weeks after the operation, I went back home, and I would go to hospitals to see children every day, and then once a week, and then once every 6 months, and I started going back to school, and so on. So for me, going to the hospital is a norm, being there. And because I have no problems, I'm pretty normal, pretty much. And what happened is in 2005, I started to do a triathlon. Does anybody here know what triathlon is? Like, okay, yeah. It's a sport consists of swimming, biking, and running. Okay, and I also decided to do something called an Ironman triathlon, and that is the distance is 3.8 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of biking, and then you run a 42K what we call marathon afterwards. So you do this all in one session. Okay, to give you the amount of, like, to illustrate the distance. Let's say you go to a community pool. The pool is 25 meters long. So you're going to swim 80 laps, 80 laps. Okay. So afterwards you get up, and let's say you're at Kingston. You get up, you ride your bike from Kingston all the way to Scarborough. Okay. Okay. So once you hit Scarborough, you get off your bike, and then you run all the way to Burlington. I think on the other side of Burlington too. Okay, so that's the distance that you have to do. And for some reason, I was pretty naive. I thought that if I know how to swim again, I know how to ride my bike, and learn how to do a marathon, and just put all of it together, I can do it. And I actually did, but it's kind of very naive to think about it at that point. And I don't know how to swim. I got to learn how to swim again. And when I was a senior coach in the swimming class, they will split us into 3 groups. So there will be the people who swim really fast, that's one group. There's people who swim a bit slow, that's another group. And then there's myself to a lane. I was so slow and my swimming was so bad that my coach put me on my own lane for my own self. And when I first learned how to swim, I could only swim 2 laps. But by the end of it, I was doing a triathlon. With the Ironman, I was able to swim 80 laps, so that was pretty incredible. And it took me 14 hours to finish this event. I wouldn't call it racing; I would just call it event. And it's pretty crazy. Even right now, I'm thinking about it. I mean, who in the right mind would ride a 180K kilometer bike and then decided to do a 42K run afterwards? And but what we do, and it's amazing how the body works. And I have no problems. I was actually very healthy. My transplant doctor was taking a look at my blood work, and we saw like that, and have no problem with it. And I just want to. What was motivating? Because it's a long race, so you need something to motivate you to run to the end. What really motivated me at the end is not, it's not some big glory motivation like, I have a transplant or whatnot. It's really just about junk food. And my motivation to run to the finish line is because I have been training for so long. I haven't had anything, I've been eating so healthy. I miss eating pizza and French fries and whatnot. So that's really what got me to the end, to the finish line. And I also have the privilege to going to represent Canada. With people who have transplants, they have something called the Transplant Games. So this is like Olympic Games for people who have organ transplants. So you have your lung transplant, your liver, your heart, kidney, bone marrow, and so on. And I was able to 2 years ago go to Australia and compete in representing Canada. And in the transplant games, there will be all different transplant recipients from all over the world. So from China, Hong Kong, India, Pakistan, UK, USA, all over the world. And it was just a privilege to be able to compete. And I won a gold medal on 5K running and also a silver on a 5K biking. Thank you. I think the most amazing about this story is the fact that looking back, it's really a miracle. In this April, I'll be turning 31. And when I had the liver tumor back when I was 11, the doctor gave me 6 months to live. And if my parents decided during that time when they want to immigrate out of Hong Kong, if they decided not to immigrate at all, I wouldn't be here because transplant operation doesn't happen in Hong Kong at that time. If they were making a choice whether to move to Canada or move to US, and if they decided to move to US, the operation will cost probably about $100,000, not including the medication or the care afterwards. And my parents are not rich, so I'm pretty sure they cannot afford it. And because of Canada and the great healthcare system we have here, it covered the cost, the OHIP covered the cost, and also covered the medication as well. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm always also thankful for being in this country. And I guess the message I want to leave at the end, even to myself, when I speak to you, I'm actually speaking to myself because it's just a reminder that a lot of people have only one life to live. For some reason, by miracle, I have 2 lives. I always see that by 11, I shouldn't be here at all. And from 11 to now, this is my second chance, and it's amazing to see how liver transplant to really change a life. It changed my life. And I know that to sign up for the donor card is a very personal thing. I remember there's one of the secretary at work came up to me afterwards because she knows my story and she was very moved for it. And and she has that hesitation on signing the card, because it's very personal. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, I want to say that cancer is beatable. A lot of people think cancer is not beatable. No, cancer is beatable, and I'm a living example. Transplant works, and I'm also a living example as well. So I want to thank you for everybody for coming here just to know more about transplants and how it works. Thank you.